Industry partner, Mate.
This is TV18 and you're watching CNBC TV18.
Presented by National Stock Exchange. On-ground partner, Select City Walk.
Good morning and welcome to National Stock Exchange and CNBC TV18's Investothon, an initiative that we flagged off first in March 2011 with two very simple ideas: to create awareness among the average Indian and all the investing community about better health and better wealth, two very important things in anyone's life. This morning we're coming to you live from New Delhi, yes, the national capital in New Delhi, where all the runners are geared up in their running gear to run and they've all assembled at the Tyagraj Stadium in Prem Nagar near the Safdarjung Airport. Now, joining me in studio are two very special guests. First up, we have Neville Wadia, who's the MD of Altitude Technology Systems India, and we have Harshvardhan Rungta, who's a certified financial planner at Rungta Securities. Good morning, guys. Welcome to the show. Thank you for coming in so early in the morning.
Thank you.
The weather in Delhi is freezing cold. It's around 15 degrees Celsius. It's been drizzling a little, but that has not dampened the spirits of any of the runners down there. We're expecting about 6,000 people there, all dressed up in their running gear to run the Investothon. Now, as you know, the Investothon, well, there aren't any races because the Investothon is based on runs. Anyone who participates, anyone who watches the Investothon, who's taken this first step towards investing better and to improving their health is a winner. We have two very special races. The first one is the 4-kilometer run, which is the Rajiv Gandhi Equity Savings Schemes run, and the 2-kilometer power run. We'll be talking a little bit about the 4-kilometer Rajiv Gandhi Equity Savings Scheme run in a bit. But first up, Neville, I want to ask you, well, it's early in the morning, it's 8, it's in Delhi, it's cold, but people are there, they've come in huge numbers to run. What is the importance of warm-up and stretching especially in such a situation where it's cold and where many of these people are not professional athletes? They might have just bought their running shoes and their running gear yesterday and turned up today. What is the importance of warm-ups?
I think, your body is like a machine, and the first way to prevent injury is by warming up that machine. So by warming up your muscles, it's very important to warm up your muscles so that you don't tear your muscles. I would always specify on warming up.
Is there a specific number of minutes that should be given?
Nothing specific, but if you were doing a long period of activity, then maybe about 10 to 15 minutes of warm-up. You never stretch a cold muscle.
Yeah, okay.
You always warm it up slowly, so a light jog or anything like that to warm up the muscle.
And does it also matter if I'm a regular runner? For example, if I run thrice or 4 times a week, is my warm-up a little less compared to someone who's running after a month?
No, not at all. Because if that muscle hasn't been used, say, for 8 hours at night, you need to warm it up no matter what, whether you're an experienced runner or not.
Okay. Harsh, now I'll come to you. So, like I mentioned earlier, we're starting early. It's 8 in the morning in Delhi. It's 8 in the morning here and it's cold in Delhi. What is the importance of starting early in investment?
Well, Sumit, let's understand this with an example. Okay, we have a 30-year-old person who's planning for retirement. Retirement is a definite event that is going to happen. So somebody would retire at, say, 58, somebody would retire at 70, somebody would retire at 60. So each individual is going to retire. So let's look at the age 60. A 30-year-old starts and invests about 1,000 rupees a month in an equity asset which generates about 14% returns. At age 60, with 1,000 rupees per month, he will accumulate a corpus of 54 lakhs. Now, this same person delays it by just 5 years. Okay, so he starts investing at age 35 and not 30 years of age. So, in that case, at the time of retirement, which is age 60, this corpus reduces from 54 lakhs, which was earlier, to 27.5 lakhs.
Wow, that's half.
That's almost half.
Almost half. Yeah.
So by delaying by just 5 years, you've actually deprived yourself of a corpus which is double than what it could have been by starting early. So with financial fitness as well, starting early is
important. In fact, we have another initiative with the National Stock Exchange called the NSC Financial Quest Quiz, where the idea is we have students from standard 8th, 9th and 10th, and we introduce financial concepts to them in a very fun manner through a quiz. So it's a good question and answer, and I must tell you, these guys, they're young students, but they're very knowledgeable about these financial matters. On the screen, you can see some footage from New Delhi, the Thiagraj Stadium, where as you can see that the runners have all geared up and they're all gathered there. We'll head down on ground where we have Shruti Mishra. Shruti, can you tell us what the mood is like down in New Delhi? What's the weather like? How are things down there?
Well, Sumit, it's a chilly winter morning. It's 15 degrees Celsius, shallow fog. It was raining last night. It was drizzling a while ago. There's no sunshine, but all this has not stopped our investors to come out. In fact, we're ready for the first race, the Rajiv Gandhi Equity Savings Scheme, the 4-kilometer run. I'm heading there to get you all the action. Over to you.
Okay, great. Thanks a lot, Shruti. We'll be back with you very shortly. As you heard, Shruti said the first flag-off should be happening shortly. Harsh, I want to talk to you about this first run of ours, the Rajiv Gandhi Equity Savings Scheme. Now, this is a scheme that the government came up, I believe, in the budget that has just gone, and they've put it into action. Can you tell our viewers a little bit about this savings scheme?
Well, this Rajiv Gandhi equity savings schemes is basically designed and introduced for the introduction of retail and new investors into equity markets.
Okay.
So the contours of the scheme, you need to be a new investor into equity, which means that you've never invested into equity ever before. Okay, you could have a demat account, but you have not necessarily bought equities. If you invest, say about 50,000 rupees into it, you get a tax deduction of 50% of that. So about 25,000 rupees gets, you get a tax benefit of 25,000 rupees. You need to have a gross total income of 10 lakhs rupees. If your gross total income is more than 10 lakhs rupees, then the scheme does not apply to you. There are other restrictions in the scheme. The moment you invest into equities, that it gets locked in for 3 years. You can you can either buy it directly on the stock exchanges. You have mutual fund schemes which will be introduced specifically for this purpose. So you will have a couple of things in that.
So kind of mobilizing the funds in the domestic capital market, because I believe in India we do have a lot of wealth that is invested more in debts and debt assets and things like that.
We've seen a trend in India where we are still a conservative society. We have not developed the equity culture as yet.
Right.
So we have about a very small percentage going into equities even today.
Okay, great. Neville, let's coming back to you. Now you've done, I was reading your profile, and you've done a lot of fitness activities. You've done yoga, you've done trekking, boulder climbing, things like that. So you've cycled a lot. We'll get to that in a bit. So basically, you've done a variety of physical activities. How does one choose a physical activity? Is it necessary to continuously keep changing one's physical activity, or can I mean, if I'm fond of running, I can just run always?
I think it's very dependent on the individual, to be honest. I'm somebody who gets bored very easily with a single activity. That's why I choose to do many different things, whether it's playing different sports or trying out different strength exercises or anything like that. But I think if the individual, first of all, if you're looking to compete and if you're an athlete, then it's best to stick to that one sport. Or even if you're an amateur marathon runner today, and which India is growing, you'd want to stick to running 3 to 4 times a week. But there's no hard and fast rule that you need to go to the gym to exercise. You can exercise outdoors, you can cycle, you can trek.
Right. So multitude of options.
Absolutely.
And it's good to try different options if you want to. But how important is setting a goal? Do I have to always set a goal which makes me better to stick to my physical regime?
I think when somebody comes to us, the first thing you'd want to make sure is that they have some sort of goal. If they just come in and say, oh, I want to lose weight, that's not much of a goal.
Okay.
You would want somebody to make a change in their lifestyle for this to be effective, whether it's just continuously exercising or having some sort of activity for 30 minutes to an hour every single day. So a goal is very important. If somebody says, I want to run the 21 kilometers in Bombay in January, then that goal is very important. You know how long you need to train for, you know what you're aiming to do. Or whether it's, I want to play cricket for India. So a goal is very important in achieving that thing. And then if you get help, the trainer or the physiologist or whoever know how to get you there.
Harsh, coming to you, setting goals is again a very, very important part of investing and investing correctly. What kind of goals, how do people set their goals? Give us some examples of what should be a goal set for financial investment.
See, there are a couple of events in a person's life which you have to plan for. And the earlier you do, the better. Now, one is retirement. Okay, even a businessman would require a retirement plan because he may not work with the same productivity that he does today. There is child education. If you have children, you need to get them educated. That's your moral obligation. So you do plan out for that as well. Then there is a holiday that you would take, a house. There are there are many such goals. You have to identify it yourself. But the point is here, you need to also quantify your goals. A very important part. As Neville said, that you cannot just say, I want to lose weight.
Right.
Similarly, for you would say either retirement, I want a good corpus. Now, what is a good corpus?
And that amount can keep changing because of inflation and other effects. So you've got to, I'm guessing you need to take that into account as well.
Absolutely. So the process of goal setting is a three-step process.
Okay.
The first is you identify what you're saving for. The second is you start quantifying it. You say that at retirement, at 60, I want an X amount of money. And the third and the final step is that you actually discount a particular rate of return that you're likely to get from your asset basket, and then you start saving for that. So this is a three-step process, which is there is no substitute to that, and there is no alternative to that. So you would have to go by it by doing this, and obviously, as you mentioned, inflation has to be considered. What is the value of rupee today is not going to be 30 years hence.
Yeah, that's for sure. That's for sure. Neville, let's talk a little bit about Altitude Technology System. Now, I believe it's an Australian company, and you've got it here in India. You're the MD of the Altitude Technology Systems India. Tell me a little bit about what your company does. What are you offering?
So altitude training basically is a relatively new training technology. It has been used for about 50 years since the Mexico City Olympic Games, especially for athletes. In the last 5 years, we've realized that using altitude training, which is training in a low oxygen environment, has been very effective for general population as well. Whether it's fat loss, weight loss, just general health and wellness, people who want to go trekking into the mountains, or athletes, of course, to enhance their performance. Our company, Altitude Technology Systems in India, manufactures, supplies, and train people in a low oxygen environment. We simulate that environment. So basically, whether it's a room in a gym or a portable machine with which you wear a mask and train, it's just providing you low oxygen. Oxygen at sea level is about 21%, and we take that down to about 14%.